I suppose I'm a bit like the Nanny McPhee of the parish council world. There's always been a frustration for me that actually the community has a tool there in its midst, which is the parish council, but it doesn't use it. Why aren't you wearing a jumper? You know, your first reaction is, yeah, okay, this isn't going to be a comfortable conversation. But apparently it's okay to talk to older people like that. I particularly like to see, well, I shouldn't tell you this. I particularly like to see badly behaved American teenagers finished off by zombies.
Looking back on it now, what do you think and make of it?
Pretty much what I made of it on the night. It was a very good example of men behaving badly.
Well, Jackie Weaver, thank you very much for agreeing to do this interview today. How are you?
I'm very well, and thank you for getting in touch.
No, you're more than welcome, and it really does mean a lot that you've given your time, because I know how much of a busy schedule you have at the moment. I mean, just tell me, what have the last couple of weeks been like for you?
I'm just looking at my diary now. I use a program called ACT to keep me on top of what I'm supposed to be doing, and every day is just full. So that I started off by being very oh yeah, just chat to now, yeah, okay, you can either have 15 minutes or 30 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, you
move on to the next thing.
You seem to have been on every broadcaster you could imagine.
I'm sorry about that.
No, it's good. We all love to see it. But yeah.
I mean, I guess for me, what's kind of surprising is the range. So some things I kind of totally get the link. It's for example, I've been asked to speak at the National Union of Students.
Oh, okay.
Their annual conference. Totally get the link there. But other things like that have been fun, like The Last Leg, Loose Women. That's.
And what would you say? And what would you say the highlights been for you so far?
I guess a couple of things. I mean, one, me personally, I guess no woman of my certain age would not fail to say it was a highlight to meet Anton Du Beke.
Oh wow!
I mean, over a screen. Don't get me wrong. No parts of bodies were touching.
What did you discuss with Anton?
I've absolutely no idea. My mind went blank.
But I mean,
at that moment where you are so overcome by kind of like childlike embarrassment that you have no idea what your mouth said.
And how did that get arranged?
He was guest presenting. I think it was Steph's packed lunch.
Ah, okay. Oh wow.
So I mean, that would be the fun thing. That was a highlight. But actually, the highlights kind of come in lots of different ways, the smaller things. So I'm really touched by the number of universities and colleges and schools, for that matter, that have got in touch and said, "Would you do something small for us?"
Yeah.
And that's been amazing, because it's been an opportunity to talk about something that I'm very passionate about, which is local democracy, to a much younger audience that we normally wouldn't have the ability to kind of make contact with.
Yeah, and I mean, I suppose all of that started then. What really captured young people's imagination was that viral parish council meeting. Looking back on it now, what do you think of and make of it?
Pretty much what I made of it on the night. It was a very good example of men behaving badly.
And have you spoken to the councillors since, or not?
I haven't spoken to the three councillors that were the main players, but of course behind them, not literally of course, are three more councillors who just want to get on with the ordinary business of running the parish council for the residents of Handforth. Them I have been in touch with, and also they've now got their clerk reinstated, so okay. I can take a step back from that, which is good for all of us.
So would you say you're probably not going to be returning to Handforth parish council in the immediate future?
No, there's no need to. It's not what I do. I don't. I suppose I'm a bit like the Nanny McPhee of the parish council world, so that when they have a problem, I'm there. When they're running okay, I'm not.
Okay. Well, I suppose I know what you're doing at the moment is trying to sort of capitalize on that video and try and engage young people and get them involved in local government. Why do you feel so passionately about this?
I guess that, you know, I say I've been in the business for over 20 years, nearly 25 years, and I often have kind of interaction with the public as well. And sometimes, you know, what you're hearing from the public is, you know, our council doesn't seem to meet our needs. And there's always been a frustration for me that actually the community has a tool there in its midst, which is the parish council, but it doesn't use it. And sometimes what happens is actually they just bitch about it. And what I'm trying to say is, well, stop bitching about it and get in there and do something about it. Change it if it's not the council that you feel your community needs.
Yeah, and I suppose you're almost on a journey at the moment trying to discover how the best way to get people involved is. I mean, what have you found and what have you learned?
I've learned how to use Twitter.
I've seen I think you're already on 10,000 followers, aren't you?
Yeah. I've got more than a friend.
I'm sure.
And actually I'm verified as well, which is even more fantastic.
Oh wow.
So I mean that really for me is kind of like a huge step forward, and Twitter have been fantastic. You know, they kind of supported me through that. Because, you know, if it's not something you're familiar with, it can be really overwhelming. So I guess what I'm kind of saying is I've tried to come and meet you, you know, and it's not easy for me to do. You know, it's potentially embarrassing. You know, I don't know whether I'll make mistakes doing it. I don't know if I'll say something really stupid and kind of like old womanish. I don't know, but I'm prepared to give it a go. So if I'm reaching out to you, I hope that perhaps you'll come and try and meet me part way, which is what you're doing, William.
Yeah, well, I would say it's not embarrassing at all. I think we're all just we're all just I suppose just a lot of people that I speak to, they don't really understand what local government is, and they say, oh, it's extremely dull. They just debate how and where the footpath should be tidied up, and they don't actually talk about anything meaningful. But in reality, I would say that parish councils where the real stuff happens often.
Yeah. And I think I would throw it back at them and say, a bit like I said in my tweet, stop telling me what you don't want. Tell me what you do want.
Yeah.
Now, if talking about footpaths doesn't rock your boat, what would? And I mean, if you're not interested in your local community, and that's okay, but if you're not interested in your local community, you're not going to be interested in what your parish council's talking about. But if you are, and they're not talking about the things you want to talk about, then we need to look at a different way for you to engage with that.
And would you say it probably works both ways, because the actual parish councillors themselves also need to step out to their community and try and ask, maybe engage and become more familiar faces to potentially get new members coming in? I
mean, a lot do. I mean, a lot of parish councillors actually hold surgeries. You know what a surgery is? Yeah. That's not fixing body parts. Actually just talking to people, really. You know, no blood is spilled. Well, not usually anyway. So, you know, they do that. But I guess what young people, and I mean, I'm terribly mindful of this phrase that we all use of young people. Now, what do we mean? I mean, is a young person 18? Or by the time you reach my age, a young person is 50. So what age are we actually talking about? But very young people, I would say 18 to 25, you're scary. You don't dress like older people. You know, your language sometimes is different to the way, you know, some of us speak. So kind of approaching you is it has to be a kind of two-way conversation. You've got to find a way of kind of trying to meet us halfway. So I'm kind of promoting the idea that, if young people are prepared to, take a step forward, then I'll see working from our side if we can make a collective step forward.
Yeah. So would you say then your perception of that 18 to 25 demographic has changed since you've been engaging with them more, or would you say it's become easier to talk to them? I mean, I suppose this is evidence of it. I suppose still scary.
Still scary. I guess it's funny because again, it's about communication.
Yeah.
And sometimes energy and passion comes across as hostility. I mean, not at the level of the handfuls meeting, but come on, give me a break. I'm only one person facing 140 students. Yeah. Of course, you're a scary bunch. Yeah, but of course you don't see that, and you certainly don't see it from my reaction. But I'm not unique, so that other people that students are trying to engage with may well have the same experience of them. Now, I'm not saying that all students now have to change and become old men and old women overnight. All I'm saying is be mindful of it and look at, is there a way that I can approach this other than necessarily head on? And often the first approach that somebody makes for a parish council is, I don't like something. Well, why don't you start with what you do like? Find something, make it up. Suddenly become really enthusiastic about hanging baskets.
Yeah.
So start with something that's what my father-in-law used to call a latch lifter. I really love the hanging baskets, but could we please have? Yeah.
So rather than being completely hostile, instead, try and make it a two-way conversation where you're not there to criticize, but more to engage.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you think about it yourself, William, if the first thing that somebody says to you is, I don't like your hair, I don't like your shirts, why aren't you wearing a jumper? Your first reaction is, yeah, okay, this isn't going to be a comfortable conversation. But apparently it's okay to talk to older people like that.
Yeah.
I don't like your parish council. I don't like the way you do business. I don't think you're very good at what you're doing. And by the way, could we have a skate park?
Yeah. So I suppose I've got a couple of questions from young people that wanted to ask you some stuff briefly before we finish. One from Sam Ness, who asked, what would be your advice to those wanting to, sort of what we've been talking about already, but wanting to start out in local politics? So if someone says, I want to be a parish councillor, or I'd like to stand in a ward, how should they go about doing that? Okay,
well, a couple of things there. I mean, first of all, there's a really good resource under the website of the National Association of Local Councils. That's nalc.gov.uk. And they're currently running a campaign called the Make a Change campaign. Okay, I keep pushing that on Twitter whenever I can. So that's a really good learning resource. And I guess the other thing is, think about what it is that you're trying to do. If what you're trying to do is break into politics, that has a capital P, then perhaps the place to start is to find a party. Yeah. And, the party mechanism usually has some support for young people. I mean, I've done 2 conferences, one coming up. So I've done Lib Dem, and I've done Young Conservatives, and I've got Young Labour coming up. So they have an infrastructure there which you can tap into. But if your interest is local democracy, and I kind of feel that's different because it's apolitical, then, just go along and see what a parish council meeting is like. These days, it's even easier because you can do it on Zoom. So see what it's all about before you make up your mind about whether or not it's something that's right for you or not. Yeah. And the other thing is, not everybody wants to be a parish councillor, but there are other things that you can be involved in around the parish council. Parish councils can co-opt non-councillors onto committees. So, for example, if the parish council is perhaps looking at putting up a new, oh, I don't know, something outdoor, whether that be a nature reserve or a play area or something, ask if you can join the working party.
Yeah.
You know?
So your message is almost just get involved, but give everything a try almost within your local area to just get a mood of it and a sense of whether this is something I'd like to be involved in. Yeah, so it's really good advice. I've got some.
Sorry, just another thing.
Of course.
I mean, you'll often find you're knocking on an open door. I mean, if you have a group locally, you know, of young people, then very often parish councils would be open to an approach from a group to go and do a talk with them. This kind of thing about that particular local council. Councillors would be really pleased to be asked.
Yeah, no, that's great. A couple more, if I may, just before our time runs out. Olivia Howard's asked, what's your favourite thing to do to unwind? I
like watching horror films.
Oh.
I particularly like to see, oh, I shouldn't tell you this. I particularly like to see badly behaved American teenagers finished off by zombies. You know the kind of film, yeah. You know where it's going to go as soon as it begins. You know, you can tell it's all going to end badly, and a lot of screaming. I don't like horror films that are real.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I don't like what I would call cruel horror films. I never really could get into the Saw franchise for that reason. It was just, it kind of felt too real. I do like a good horror film.
Good horror film, that's great. Alex just asked, in light of the viral video and your newly found fame, would you ever consider making a shift from parish politics to running as an MP?
No. It's a different thing altogether. And I do keep banging on about find your place.
Yeah.
I was a councillor 23 years ago. Didn't last for very long. Didn't enjoy the experience. It wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I found that the thing I like to do is I like to problem solve. Now, don't get me wrong, council is also problem solve. But I like to be able to help other people, to facilitate people in moving forward with what they wanted to do. I didn't necessarily want to do it myself. So my job, I'm the Chief Officer of the Cheshire Association of Local Councils, is to arm people with the necessary tools and information for them to go forward and do things. And I don't think you can do that as an MP. I think when you're an MP, you're by definition usually bound by some kind of party mechanism. And then in fact, the goals become more about the party than the individual. I have no experience of being an MP. So, you know, maybe I do them a disservice, but that's how it appears to me.
Okay. Oh, I think I don't know if you oh, you're still there. I thought you disappeared for a second, but you're still there. And I suppose just finally then to sort of wrap everything up, what do you hope to get out the next couple of months? Like, what have you got in store or planned to sort of really, as we sort of alluded to earlier, capitalize on? So what's your sort of end message that you'd like to send out?
I think my message, I think, is fairly clear. I just want to improve the engagement between parish councils and the outside world. I want to take every opportunity I can, again, and talking to yourself, William, in order to get that message out there, because I feel I have a limited lifespan. I'm about to die soon. Hope not. Certainly from age.
I hope not too.
But you know, my popularity will wane quickly when the next thing comes along. So, you know, take every opportunity I can to promote that agenda. That's what's important to me. And then it will continue in the background long after the fame has gone. Well,
I'd say you've left an incredible legacy. And I think you, as you've sort of said in interviews, you have advanced the parish council movement in a way that I don't think many others have been able to achieve. So I thank you very much for your time. It's been great to speak to you. And yeah, I wish you all the best of luck in getting young people involved in parish politics, and I'll try my best to do the same. Well, get in touch. Let me know what success you have. It's been lovely to talk to you. Lovely to talk to you too. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.